All right. Here we go. This is going to be amazing. We're at part 2 of Egypt and the Nile River. Now, look at this map. Very important. It will help you. Look, it says upper down here, lower down here. This is upper Egypt. This is lower Egypt. The way I like to remember this is upstream. The water flows the way I'm moving the cursor right now, all the way to the Mediterranean. So this is lower Egypt. This is upper Egypt. Very important today. Hope you're excited. Here we go. Because the Nile is a river is important. Here's the song again. You created the grain. You bring forth the barley, assuring survival to the temples. If you cease your toil and your work, then all that exists is in anguish. Yes, let's continue our journey. Part 2. All right, early Egyptians also developed geometry to survey or measure the land. When floods washed away boundary markers dividing one field from the next, the Egyptians would just go out there, survey the fields again to see where one began and the other ended. All right, very important. This is what they put their paper on. Papyrus. That's right. Papyrus. I spelled that wrong with that. Papyrus. A reed plant that grew along the shores of the Nile became a useful resource. At first, the Egyptians harvested papyrus for making baskets, sandals, and river rafts. Later, they used the papyrus for, that's right, paper making. The first step was to cut the stalks of the plants into narrow strips and pound them flat. Left in the air to dry, the strips became stiff. They could then be, lost my stuff. They could then be used to join to form a roll of, what's the word again? Paper. I love paper. All right. What were hieroglyphics? Now, the Egyptians used their papyrus rolls as writing, I said it again, paper. Like the people of Mesopotamia, the Egyptians developed their own system of writing. All right. This is not called cuneiform. This is called hieroglyphics. That's right. Glyphics. It was made up of hundreds of picture symbols. Now, listen to this. This is where it gets weird. Some symbols stood for objects, and that's idea. To communicate the idea of a boat, for example, a scribe would draw a boat. Duh, very simple. Other symbols stood for sounds, like A stands for ah or ah, just as letters for our alphabet do. And that's where it became confusing and was hard to read forever. Scribes painstakingly carved hieroglyphics onto stone walls and monuments. For everyday purposes, scribes invented a simpler script. There was 2 different languages and wrote on papyrus. In ancient Egypt, few people could read and write. Some Egyptian men, however, went to special schools located in Egyptian temples to study reading and writing, to learn to become scribes. Scribes kept records and worked for the rulers, priests, and traders, just like they did in Mesopotamia. Around 3100 BCE, Egypt's 2 major kingdoms, Upper and, all right, remember the map earlier? What's the other one? Lower Egypt were combined into one. Now let's look at how that happened before they combined. In Egypt, as in Mesopotamia, skill for farming led to, all right, surpluses. All right, extra amounts of food. This freed some people to work as artisans instead of farmers. They wove cloth, made pottery, carved statues, or shaped copper into weapons and tools. As more goods became available, Egyptians traded with each other. Before long, Egyptian traders were carrying goods. Beyond, that's right, Egypt's borders to Mesopotamia. There they may have picked up ideas. Very important thing about writing and government. That's the new idea. So here we go, the rise of government. The advances in farming, crafts, and trade created a need for government in Egypt. Irrigation systems had to be built and maintained, and surplus grains had to be stored and passed out. All right. In addition, Disputes would happen sometimes. Disputes over land ownership had to be settled. Gradually, government even urged to plan and to direct such activities. The earliest rulers were village chiefs. All right. Over time, a few strong chiefs united groups of villages into small kingdoms. All right. The strongest of these kingdoms eventually overpowered the weaker ones. And then by, what's more over my years, 4000 BCE, Egypt was made up of 2 large kingdoms. Is that what I wanted? Yes. The Nile Delta, or the end of it, was Lower Egypt. Lower Egypt. To the south, now below Lower Egypt, upriver, lay Upper Egypt. Remember the map earlier? Egypt's ruling families. About 3100 BCE, the 2 kingdoms became one. Credit from this goes to a guy named Narmer. That's right, Narmer. Also known as Menes. As king of Upper Egypt, he led his armies north and took control of Lower Egypt. Narmer ruled from a city that's in Tennessee, Memphis, all right, Tennessee, or Memphis, a city he built on the border between the 2 kingdoms. To symbolize the kingdom's unity, Narmer wore a double, I spelled that wrong, a double crown. The helmet-like white crown represented Upper Egypt, and the open red crown represented Lower Egypt. Narmer's kingdom held together long after his death. Members of his family, all right, passed the ruling from father to son to grandson. Such a line of rulers from one family is called a dynasty. Very good. When one dynasty died out and another took its place. Over time, ancient Egypt would be ruled by 31 dynasties, which together lasted more than 2,800 years. Historians group Egypt's dynasties into 3 main time periods called kingdoms. The oldest period, which is the Old Kingdom, was followed by the Middle Kingdom and then the New Kingdom. Each marked a long period of strong leadership and stability. So what was it like in Egypt? Egyptian society was divided into social groups based on wealth and power. If you made a diagram of the different social groups in ancient Egypt, you would find that they make a pyramid or triangle shape. At the top was the king and his family. All right, beneath that level was a small upper class of priests, commanders, and nobles. Next came a large base of skilled middle-class people, such as traders, artisans, and shopkeepers. At the bottom was the largest group, all right, which is unskilled workers and farmers. All right, Egypt's social classes. All right, Egypt's upper class was made up of nobles, priests, and other wealthy Egyptians who worked as the government officials. They lived in large, cities, all right, and on large estates along the Nile River. They had elegant homes made of wood and mud bricks, with beautiful gardens and pools filled with fish and water lilies. Wealthy families had somebody to take care of them called servants to wait on the long and to perform household duties. The men and women dressed in white linen cloth or wool, heavy eye makeup, all right, and jewelry. Egypt's middle class included people who ran businesses and produced things. They lived in much smaller homes and dressed more simply. All right. Then you have the lower class. All right. And I'll tell you the rest here in a minute. Please do the bottom after I get done at the bottom. There's not much more to do. And that will